All right, guys, welcome back to the Side of Mayo show. Guys, before we get started, I just gotta give a shout out to a few special and new official sponsors of the Side of Mayo show. First off, I gotta start out with my guy, Ernie Rojas. Ernie owns and operates Top Rocker Tattoo. He's the only guy that I trust to give me a tattoo. He's absolutely amazing. He truly believes in giving you the best experience possible and giving you something that's going to be custom to you for life. When you sit down in his chair, it's almost like a therapy session where you get to just kind of BS with a good friend and also get a dope tattoo along with that. Guys, if you're looking to get a tattoo, anything, sleeve, something small, maybe a portrait, anything like that, hit up my guy Ernie and give the name Side of Mayo and get 10% off your first tattoo. Along with that, another buddy of mine, George and Ronnie at Revitalize Med Spa, has graciously decided to become a sponsor. Guys, I know what you're thinking. I'm a guy. Why do I need to go to a med spa? That's valid. But what do guys do a lot of times? Well, Saturday nights we like to go out, we buy shots, we have a lot of fun, but the next day sucks. That's the worst hangover ever. So they do mobile IVs. They will personally come to you along with all the facials and all the other good stuff, but they will come to you for an IV. And if you drop the name Side of Mayo, they're going to give you 10% off your first purchase as well. So go hit my guy, George and Ronnie at Revitalize Med Spa. All right, let's play that intro music.
I shoot a shot. I'm coming in hot. Coming in hot. Shoot that. Hey, why not? Yeah, coming in hot.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Side of Mayo show. Guys, I know what you're thinking. It's been a minute, and you're right, and I'm very, very sorry for that. December to now has been nothing short of life-changing for me, and we're going to dive into that today with my guest. But first, just to give you guys a little recap, I graduated college, finally, since 2012. I've been trying to get my degree. Went on vacation, completely changed my life in every way, and that's including a new career, which, like I said, I'm going to get into that today. Guys, it's been crazy, but I really want to start off by saying, if you guys are chasing a dream, and it's something you guys really, really want to do, go after it. But understand that no matter what happens, last year a lot of stuff happened to a lot of people with COVID, and it was kind of tough to overcome some difficulties. Personally, my 11-year plan crumbled with no sports jobs opening, a lot of my friends furloughed who were in the position, not a lot of people getting hired. I didn't even get to graduate properly and walk across the stage. It was just a terrible year, but at the end of the day, I came away with a job that I love, and it's absolutely something that I'm going to continue to do, and it's something where I get to help people. I still love watching sports. I'm never going to give that up, but another part of my life was owning financial debt and a bunch of different other things, and so now I kind of transitioned to being a financial advisor to where I get to help people get out of debt. I get to help people invest. I get to help them prepare for their future. I get to help them change their family's legacy. It is absolutely amazing, guys. So all I'm saying is work your complete butt off to try and get there. But if something happens and it gets really, really tough, don't be afraid to transition into something new. I was terrified. I didn't want to do it, but I did it. And now I'm in a job that I love, which leads me to my first guest on the Side of Mayo show. Andre Vicario. Andre, how you doing?
Super good, thanks.
You like that intro?
I do, but one thing I would change.
Let's see it.
It's not a job, man. It's a career.
It's a career. I have that written down and I didn't say it. That's on me. I'm not even going to lie. It is a career, and it's a career that I love and a career that you've been doing for a long time.
Very long time.
So kind of give the people a little background on you, where you're from, what company you work or you own, and just kind of give us a little background on you.
I'm born and raised in Southern California.
All right.
And, like you, I didn't think I'd be in the financial services industry.
Right?
Yeah, I was an athlete in college, in high school and then in college, and then my then girlfriend got pregnant. So plans changed. So when you talk about things changing, yes, but sometimes those are the biggest blessings, because I don't know where I'd be today if that didn't happen. I was stupid and crazy, as most young guys are, and after all that occurred, I realized I had to grow up.
Yeah.
I had to get a job.
Yep.
And I didn't even understand what a career was then. I didn't even know what a job. I never worked, so I had to figure all that out. It was kind of crazy, but and then I when she got pregnant, the only thing I knew how to do was work out.
Yeah.
So I was at the gym. So I ended up selling health club memberships for a while, then took over that health club one day.
Okay.
The guy came in and threw a contract on my desk and said, "Hey, read it, look at it, let me know what you think."
Oh,
shoot. He built this gym for his girlfriend, and his wife found out. So he had to sell it.
Wait, he built it for
yeah.
He built it for his girlfriend, and his wife found out.
Yeah.
Not a good start.
No, it wasn't. So it was, it was a good situation for me because I was able to take it over. But I was 20 years old in Huntington Beach with tons of cash flow. I mean, not good things happened. So I did that and built out a few more clubs, and then it was time to grow up. And that's what led me to where I am in the financial services. It was during Wall Street. I wanted to be a stockbroker. I mean, the fantasy of all that was amazing. So, but I just went to an interview and actually really resonated with the guy who interviewed me. And
nice.
I mean,
just kind of grew from there.
Yeah, and it was a total fluke. And that's the thing, you're talking about all these different things in your intro, and it gave me the chills because literally mine was a fluke because I wouldn't have been in this career other than the fact that my brother called me on the same day and said, "Hey," his wife's name is Jody. He said, "Joe and I were trying to find Tom Cruise's house on the map of the stars. We never found it." And he goes, "What are you doing today?" And I said, "Well, actually, I'm supposed to have an interview in Beverly Hills." And he's like, "Well, let's go do your interview, and then we'll get free parking. We can have lunch, and then we'll go find Tom Cruise's house." And literally, I kid you not, that's where it all started, was the free parking and lunch. And been in the industry ever since.
Man, and so now you created CalChoice Financial. Was that just instantly the thought, or did you kind of take a couple different avenues and work for a couple different companies before then?
No, I started off working for a company in Beverly Hills.
Okay.
That's where I got my start, and just kind of grinded my way through it, like you're talking about. Just worked my tail off, and it worked out well. I mean, my first 6 months were pretty insane. And
I've heard. Tell the people about your first 6 months, because I'm chasing a goal that you actually accomplished. It's one of your most favorite goals. The first thing I think you told me when I started to get into the industry, and it's something that's driving me. So kind of give them a background and tell them what it's about.
It's just acquiring 25 clients in your first 90 days in business. And it may sound like, no big deal. But when you have to acquire the client, go through the process, write the applications, get them submitted, and get them paid all within 90 days and do 25 of them, because the goal is to get 100. You get 100 new clients. And I remember my chief sales officer was pretty awesome. Still a good friend of mine today. His name's Steve Hall. He literally said to me, "You work the next 5 years like nobody else is willing to. You'll live the rest of your life like everybody else wishes they could." And that stuck with me, and it still sticks me this day. And here I am so many years later, and life's pretty good. I feel pretty blessed.
Yeah. So when you first told me about that, I mean, I don't know if you kind of realized what you started with me, but I love to be challenged. That's the biggest thing for me, was I wanted a career and something that I could do that would challenge me and take everything inside of me to figure out a way to do it. And so far, it's been okay. A little bit of success here and there, different things that have popped up with companies, but all in all, it's been great, but it is tough. I mean, the whole process, it can just be a long, grueling one sometimes, but at the end of the day, it's worth it. And the outcome is completely worth it. And there's a product that we talk about and that we I guess introduce to clients that is actually really, really amazing. It's called Private Reserve Account, PRA. It's the bread and butter. Kind of explain to the people what a private reserve account is.
I'll talk about the private reserve account 1 second. What you said is, did I realize? And what you didn't realize is that I realized it more than you know, and that was pretty good for me, because the timing that you came in was really good. And as a result of that, that's part of our whole rebrand and everything else, and part of our conversations. And when you first got started, when I was pushing different buttons in different ways, you reacted the right way, and that's what you didn't realize. And I'll tell you now. And it's part of our weekly conversations as I'm working with our consultants as we're going through our whole brand shift. And you're a big part of our topic of conversation this morning. So yeah, and I think you're going to do well. You just got to keep your head down and keep going. But back to the point of what a private reserve account is, it's really it's one of the most phenomenal tools out there. I mean, when people think of financial services, they think, oh God, insurance salesman and all this stuff. Well, I can tell you what we're not. We're not product pushers. I mean, and I can tell you what we are. We're we're literally game changers. When you meet with us, I assure you, your financial life will be better for that encounter forever. And it's how can I say that? Well, I can say it because I've seen it and experienced it with many people through many years. The one thing people hate is paying taxes.
100%.
Who likes paying taxes? But the one thing that people don't understand, most people think, well, I want to get the best deductions today, so give me my 401k and I'll do this and I'll do that, and that money is going to grow tax deferred, tax free, and I'm going to get it later. Yeah, all this stuff because it's going to benefit. We're a today-oriented society, and that's the unfortunate reality of where we are. And if people understood, tomorrow's important too, and they would forego their 401k and go into a PRA. And basically, what is a PRA? Well, it's a pretty sophisticated life insurance policy, and it's designed and set up in a way, one, you get a death benefit, but two, you get the living benefits. Life insurance, it's not about the death benefit anymore.
Exactly.
It's about the living benefits. That's why I don't call it life insurance. I call it life assurance. And when you think about life assurance, it's the assurances that you need in life. When you need money, it's there for you.
Exactly.
When you want to put money in a savings account, it's there for you.
Yeah.
And the one thing that's beautiful is that money grows on a tax-deferred, tax-free distribution basis. And the best part is it's accessible anywhere along the ways without any penalties.
Exactly.
When you put money in all these other plans, their money grows. Yeah, it grows tax-deferred, doesn't come out tax-free. And then what happens, unfortunately? We don't know what taxes are going to be down the road.
Exactly.
But I mean, are taxes going to be lower than they are today?
If you guys out there listening think yes, I don't know what to tell you. It's no, 100% not.
We're already.
I'm gonna say 99.99.
We're already seeing a result of that. I mean, gas prices are going up. Everything's changing. We're starting to have a little bit of inflation, and it's only going to get worse. I mean, all these stimulus packages. You talked about the COVID of last year. Well, now we have stimulus. We were already radically in debt as a country.
Yep.
I mean, 5 years from now, we won't even be able to pay the interest
on all the debt.
On the debt. And now we just added a couple trillion more to it. So it's only bearing your generation and your kids' generation even more.
Yeah.
And that's the unfortunate reality of it. So our tax is going to go down. Are they going to stay the same, or are they going to go up? The only thing that can happen is it's going to go up. So why defer money to pay taxes on that money at a higher rate later to get a little small benefit today?
I always break it down for people like this. It's think about it. I always like to think just easy numbers, right? $100,000. Think how much taxes are going to be then, what they could be, what they are now, that getting taken away from your overall, benefit that you have. That alone is enough for me to be like, absolutely not. I would rather have this all the money that's sitting in that account. The number I can see is the number that you get. And that's the dream for people. So when I tell people that, I'm like, think about it like this. You're super excited, ready to retire. Everything's going great. And then you realize, like, oh, crap, I'm not getting what I thought I was going to be getting, that you planned for into the age of 65 or whenever you decided to retire. And now it's changing because the taxes fluctuated.
Yeah, and what's even more difficult about that is retirement. When you think about it when you're young, it's like, what is retirement? I remember when I started in my career, it's like, I'm trying to talk to people about retirement, and people are looking at me going, hey, what do you know about retirement?
Yeah, like you're 27 years old. Yeah,
I was 25. So it's like, wow, and they were right. I didn't know much about it.
Yeah.
And the reality of it is, I'm very fortunate that I did pay attention to it and look at it, because I started my PRA a long time ago and kept funding it. But I see people all the time that, try to look at the future, and you always try to guess what it's going to be, but the reality of it is we don't know what it's going to be. And the most important thing is we need to live our life.
Exactly.
And so we don't, tomorrow's not promised, so we need to live a good life today. I get that, and I understand when people say, I don't want to worry about that, I don't want to save, and I don't want to take away from my enjoyment today, but we have to have a little bit of sacrifice to get some of the things that we want in life. So it all depends on, what they want. I mean, what's most important? I mean, right now I understand partying and having a good time. Hey, I was there. I did all that. I'm not saying I don't anymore, but still, I mean, the reality of it is, we have to be smart and prudent and have a little bit of thought, spend a couple bucks, put aside a couple bucks.
Well, and that's with my generation. It's sorry guys, but it's very tough to talk to people in their 20s about retirement plans because they don't want to. They just think, oh, I'll cross that bridge here in a little bit. And I keep pushing it back, and it's something I did. And then I see the numbers and the difference that it can make if you start it in your 20s or if you start it in your 30s. And I'm like, wow, okay, so You're telling me it could be so much less.
I run into people all the time that are in their 40s and 50s that were saying that in their 20s.
That's my point.
And so it's
my point.
That procrastination doesn't change anything.
There's always going to be I'll do it later.
Yep,
I'll do it later. And I always tell people, I'm like, listen, start something. At least get something cooking, so that way
the reality is,
interest.
Do I want to have a nice new car to drive around, or do I want to put money into a bank account and see numbers grow?
Yeah.
I mean, what's sexier? I want a new car, 100%. And that's the reality of it. I get it. Yeah. I mean, I'm as guilty of it as anybody.
But real quick, I got to let you know too, with the company and everything like that, one thing that impressed me the most was the fact that you obviously get your haircut by my girlfriend, you and your wife. Been together, what was it now, 20, you've been together since high school, right? You and your wife? Beautiful. So gets your haircut by my
34
girlfriend.
Years total, including dating and marriage. Yeah, long time.
That's commitment. Dang. Well, you get your haircut, your wife gets her haircut, and Cassie was like, well, you should ask Andre for a job. Because after graduation, I had no idea what I was going to do. And I was like, okay, well, let's talk to him, whatever. She sent me your number. We had talked before. We had met before.
You were at my Christmas party last year.
Yeah, and I won like a whole steak package and everything. I was trying for that trip to Mexico. That's all right, though. Won a couple, and I got a Rolex tie. Yeah. That thing was dope. But I met her, and I was like, I'll reach out and talk to him. And the biggest thing for me was the fact that you took time. So a couple other positions, it was kind of tough to get in touch with somebody at the company or trying to figure out what I do, because I'm not a finance major. I know how to talk to people. That's what I do best. I know how to communicate with people on a personal level. But I had no idea what I wanted to do. And so when you took the time in December, and this is why I tell all my clients, that meant a lot, because you personally could have been at home vacationing just like everybody else. But we were in the little conference room in there. We were learning. I was learning all new things. I was pitching you. And when you told me one day, like, no one would pitch, or some people won't pitch to you, and I was like, well, why? Like, that's the stuff like that sets it apart, is having that drive and knowing like this is for the better. And we could have sat around, because I wasn't even licensed at that point. I was just going through the training, so that way when the license came, which that's a whole different story on the whole license. You guys scared the crap out of me on that one, but that meant so much. And Cord, who we train with as well, he was there too, just putting in the hours. And I was like, wow, like this is something that I want to do. And then the other part was, and I just got to be completely blunt, the fact that we sat in a conference room and built a plan for someone based on what they wanted, and actually took a less commission to make sure the client got more. When I saw that, and I was like, this is what we do in our meetings, that's the type of stuff I want to get in on.
Well, sometimes less is more.
Exactly.
Right? And it's not necessarily that you're taking less. I mean, we just want the client to benefit. And when they benefit, you benefit 10 times over, because what are they going to do? They're going to go out and share what you did for them to other people. And so are you taking less? No, you end up with a lot more.
You do end up with more.
And that's the unfortunate thing about the way a lot of people do business today. They want to try to make all they can in one shot and not think about tomorrow. That's why I always say, tomorrow's not guaranteed, but we got to think about it. And you always want to think about how it's going to impact tomorrow. When you do the right things today, the right things will happen tomorrow. Yeah,
exactly. And that's one thing that's great, is because I think when I first talked to you, one of the things you asked me was like, why do you want to do this? And I said, I just want to help people. That was what I told a lot of people in my job interviews, was I want to be able to help them in some way, shape, or form. And to be able to do it this way, because I went through my own dealing with debt process, moved back in with my parents, paid off everything. It was the worst $2,500 check a month that I had to pay towards like student loans, everything. It was awful. But now I'm out of it, and now I can teach people that, and I can break everything down for them. And I think that's huge. And the fact that the client comes first, and it's really not about, us. We just want to make sure that they have a great experience. And I have clients tell me all the time, what is it, how do you get paid and everything? I'm like, well, everybody gets paid, but I don't get paid if you don't get paid. I don't get paid if you don't get something set up, because it's your future. For me, I just want to be able to help you out and help you get there. And then at the end of the day, awesome. I want to make sure you're happy, because those referrals, and it's cool because I've done families now where I started talking to one family and they're like, hey, this is great. I'm going to use it for this, and it just like spreads. And it's awesome to see that and
it's
see
the best feeling
fire
ever.
Get lit.
Oh yeah. It's a great feeling. And then you're going to see that as you start, you're just barely getting started, but
yeah, it's been like 2 months.
Yeah. But you're doing great, because what you're doing is you're doing the right thing. When you do the right thing, you get the right results.
Yeah.
And that's the referrals. People want to share it. I look at it like this. if you had the cure to cancer, you'd go out there and you'd scream to everybody, because everybody that's sick you'd want to save.
Exactly.
But right now we have financial cancer in this country. There's a lot of people that are sick.
Oh yeah.
And so we have a cure. Now we need to get out and share it with everybody. And that's the beauty of it. When you do sit and talk to somebody and they get it and they understand this, they're going to go share it with everybody.
Yeah.
And that makes a huge difference in the end.
Yeah. And it's always funny. The proof is in the pudding is what I tell people. And I think it's in the slideshow. It's kind of the presentation that we show everybody. I think it's like 50 million or something tax-free dollars that people have gotten, and we're on pace to do $1 billion. Like, that's something that's really cool.
Yeah. So I look at McDonald's when it said $1 billion served. I was like, oh, I want to do $1 billion in tax-free dollars for our clients. And so the barometer, we're starting to measure it, and I mean, we'll be at 100 million in a very short period of time, and then that's just going to grow from there. I mean, when we hit $1 billion of tax-free money for our clients, and that's only the first year. So I mean, if we want, we could mislead it and say over a 10-year period, this is how much. But we're just doing the first 1 year distribution. So when you think about it, 1 billion in the first year distributions, what does that mean? Oh my gosh, that's a lot of money over a long period of time.
Exactly, and I'll tell you what, it's worth it in the long run for sure. But kind of want to backtrack a little bit. So you had the fast start. You got out and you just took off, ran with everything that you were taught. Was that the turning point for you to where, you just kind of were learning to where you straight became successful, or did you have to kind of stumble a little bit after that?
I still stumble.
You still stumble,
I mean,
okay.
Well, the reality is when you're trying to do something and you're going down, new roads, sometimes there's bumps that you didn't know about.
Yeah.
And you're going to hit those bumps. That's part of being an entrepreneur, and that's part of business. We can try to avoid those all we want.
Yeah.
But sometimes those things just end up showing up. So, yeah, when I first started, it was a challenge. It was something that I didn't understand that well. But the one thing I did understand is the more people I saw, the more people I would help. And when you have it's all about the purpose, right? And when I understood the purpose, and the purpose was to put people in a better situation, it changed everything for me. Because anytime you can tie a passion and a purpose together, man, it is the best. It's a great feeling. It's good. It's good for you. It's good for the people that you're around. It's an amazing experience. Yeah. And that purpose will drive you. It's why you wake up every day. You can wake up every day knowing you're going to fulfill that, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're happy and you're just super excited about the purpose you're serving, life's good.
What would you put as your purpose? Like, if you could do one sentence, one word, whatever, what would your purpose be?
Helping people have a better relationship with money.
It's a good one, because it's true. There's so many different things, and I see it every day, that people have no idea where their money's going sometimes.
Well, it's people have this scarcity mindset sometimes, where they're penny wise and pound foolish. They'll be super cheap over here and then go and blow
it on somewhere else.
So it's just kind of it's kind of a process. And I understand that the younger generation wants to go out and have fun. I mean, I still do. I still do crazy, dumb stuff. And blow money on things that don't make sense all the time. I mean, so it's just like anybody else in that sense.
You gotta live. You got to enjoy life.
Absolutely.
And that's what I tell every single client as well. I'm like, listen, I'm not going to put you in a spot where you're pinching pennies trying to get a nickel. It's not going to happen. I want you to be successful and stable, and then we'll get you going. We'll get you set up for the long term. But if you're not set right now, you need to get set, because you're just going to overlap, and it's going to get worse from there.
Yeah, and then once you teach people what we do and they go through our process, well, a lot of times, if they're not in a good situation, they want to know, well, how can I help you do this?
Exactly.
And then they end up being referral partners, and a lot of them end up in the industry with us.
That's true.
And then they make it a career.
Yep.
So there's so many different ways to look at this and go about this. And when you're able to help somebody and better position them for the rest of their lives, and what we're doing, it's not just changing this generation, it's changing generations.
Exactly.
So not just this one, but the one to follow and the one to follow that. I mean, because it's unbelievable to be able to set somebody up on that course. So when you think about the trajectory and you put somebody on a course, so we're their financial GPS.
Yep.
So we're going to set it up for them to go, and there's all they have to, just like Siri, you go off tangent, she's yelling at you saying, you got to make it right, you got to make it right, get back on course. And that's what our responsibility is to be that navigation to get people back on course.
Yeah. And it happens sometimes. We all make mistakes. We all make bad decisions. We all want that something nice or something like that. And I use that analogy as well, because you tell me the destination and I'm gonna get you there the fastest and the most direct route possible, because that's what a GPS does, except for sometimes when you just get taken down a freaking wrong turn. But for the most part, it all works out. Was there a time or like a story or anything like that that kind of changed your mindset on how you were going to approach talking to different people? Because I know just in the short 2 months that I've been doing it, like I've had to kind of adjust how I talk to people. I'm usually a little bit more blunt, where now I'm kind of a little bit more like respectful, I guess. Like before I was in college, you know, I had my own little vocabulary. Now I'm like more professional. And so was there something for you that just kind of clicked for you where you kind of transitioned on your mindset?
Well, I think I'm Mexican, so you can see that. You know, starting in Beverly Hills, I mean, I was at a place from the get-go. So when you talk about was there a time and a place, well, I think it was the first day that I arrived, and my first time there, and going to lunch and walking around just saying, I am so out of place. I felt like a total misfit. But why did I feel like a misfit? That was on me, not on anything around me. It was what I allowed myself to feel inside that kind of tainted that. So once I understood that, you know, just because I didn't come from a bunch of money like some of the other people in that area, it doesn't mean that I can't have the same end result that they have.
Exactly.
And I think it was just literally walking down Rodeo and just watching people shop and do things that I couldn't do at the time, just going, wow, God, how neat would that be? That's where the dream, I think that's where the dream started. And that's, I think, it's an important thing to realize is everything starts with a dream. Yeah. And then how that dream shapes, you know, sometimes that dream starts off and it's like the old TV's fuzzy and blurry, and tap them on the side, they get a little clearer, and then you start to add the color to it, and then all of a sudden it's clarity. It's like the Ultra 4K. Yeah. And you get it. So I think it was just walking around and seeing people and seeing them live, and just, you know, they seemingly looked happy. Yeah. And that's all I wanted to do, is just to be super happy and have a smile on my face every day and enjoy life. And it really was time to grow up. And that was the moment. It's like, okay, I got to grow up.
That's when it really hits you, is when that moment of clarity comes, where you're like, yeah, like it's time to start putting the freaking food on the table, you know. And it can be kind of shocking for people. And I think that's what I meant by the whole intro thing, because man, for 11 years, I did the math today, since 2009, I was trying to be a sports broadcast journalist. Dead set on that. Nobody was going to stop me. I enlisted in the military. Have you seen those memes where it's like, what's the craziest thing you ever did for money? And it was like an army recruiter. Like, that was me. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go and I'm going to get my college paid for, because I'm going to need help. My parents weren't wealthy. My parents honestly didn't even have their own retirement plan or any sort of savings until after I was already out of the house. So it was, that's actually a funny story too. So that's where I got out of my debt too, was my parents had to go through that process, and they taught me how to go through it. And that's why it holds so close to me. And so going through my problems and then my parents' problems too, and just seeing other people do the exact same thing. I don't know if I ever told you this. The first thing I do is I want people to sit down and write out where their money's going. When I sit down with someone, if I'm like, hey, you have debt? Okay, cool. What debt you have? Tell me. Okay, now how much you spend per month? Because I want to break it down for every single person, because it can be hard sometimes. A lot of people, I've had people sit there and be like, I'm living penny to penny. And I'm like, I just did the numbers for you and you're not. Where's that? And that light bulb for them, a complete light bulb. But yeah, everything comes back to where you have to start putting food on the table.
Always, yeah. And
you just kind of grow up. And I think that's what hit me. And that's where I guess I felt like kind of stupid, because I was chasing a kid's dream of wanting to be on TV and do sports broadcasting. And I think it was more of a blessing, the fact that I started this podcast when I did, because now I already had an outlet to go to, even though I didn't have sports broadcasting. And it is what it is, and it's so much fun. I love having you on the show. I love being able to talk different things and learning about people. So, yeah, just approach each day differently. I like the analogy you said where tomorrow's not guaranteed, but think about it, because you need to have a plan.
Yeah, definitely.
100% a plan. So, CalChoice. Where did that idea come from? I need to know the backstory right now.
Actually, it was kind of, you know, again, it's sometimes opportunity. Everybody runs across opportunities every single day, and we don't recognize it because we're not open-minded to look at the opportunities. True. And so, literally, it didn't start there. I started off with CalChoice Investments, which was my real estate investment site. As a result of working with some of my clients, I mean, I was, you know, young guy. I went to one of my first appointments in that first year, and this guy was worth like $35 million. And I'm 26 years old. It's going, oh my God. And they go to the gates and hit the button and try to get into the house. And, it was just insane. And so I'm talking to this guy, and he was talking to me about what his portfolio was and everything else. And half the stuff I didn't even recognize because I was so young and new and just listening and taking notes. But I was a total stock jock. Remember, I start off talking about Wall Street. So I wanted to go back and build this crazy fun portfolio for him. And I did. I came back and I started sharing it with him. And I wanted him to sell his land. And he looked at me and he goes, we'll come back to that. And I went through my whole presentation. And he goes, now I want to share with you why I won't sell that land. And I go, it's not making you any money. It's just sitting. It doesn't make any sense. We need to have our money working for us. And he goes, well, let me share something with you that maybe you don't see or recognize yet. He goes, land is a hard asset. And he goes, and that hard asset in an area of growth, I don't have to worry about it. I know that the values are going up, so I may not be getting the money right now, but that money is building in that bank account.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, what do you mean that bank? He goes, it's called land bank. I'm just putting my money, and it's growing.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, wow, that was genius. And I love real estate. And I thought that's really the direction I wanted to go. So, again, I was able to tie two passions. So then I sought out after a real estate investment company that would be able to provide that hard asset.
Yeah. And
so I started being up. I used their products, so they were the product provider. I was working with my clients with that hard asset, and then a couple years later, I said, I think I could do this on my own. I literally sold everything, and then started acquiring land, and started doing that at the same time to fulfill some of my clients' situations, which kind of led to the whole. I needed a company name, and that's where the CalChoice came in. So it started off as CalChoice Investments, and then through the years, I started working with financial advisors all over the country. I was on a road show. I mean, literally, I was in my RV just driving city to city and just doing road shows all over, and with financial advisors, and it was fun. And but in that time, I'm meeting financial advisors and just seeing how they are just getting taken advantage of. Not only are they getting taken advantage, they're totally uneducated. They're taking advantage of other people, not even knowing. And it was the saddest thing. It was all about the money. You go to their events, and is all they would talk about is how much money everybody's making and how great they are and all this different thing. I'm just going, wait a second. What about the client at the end of the day?
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are making some money. That's great. All that money's rolling up to everybody. But what about the clients? And it hit me. And then I had several agents while I was out, on my road tour saying, you're in the financial services. You need to start a company. We'll come and work with you.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it all started. It was literally on a whim. I decided. I think it was I was doing a presentation to a group, and their founder was kind of not wanting me to upstage him because I had some cool videos and different things that they didn't have, and so he tried to push back on it. And the guy that was running their company, which happens to be Cord's brother,
no way,
and he pushed back on the owner of the company and realized that this guy doesn't care about the people or him or anybody else. It was all about the money, and so he just said, look, he came to my hotel room that night. He was crying and bummed and just saying, this really sucks. He goes, you need to start a company. I said, all right. I think it was on a Friday. By the following Tuesday, I had the corporation started. By the following week, I had an office going, and we had, I don't know, 10, 15 people, and started going. And that's really how it started. And it wasn't anything that I was looking to do. It was just something that was an opportunity that came. And again, anytime I can help, I want to help. I try to help. And I think the more you do for others, the more you get. I mean, it's not necessarily money what you get. Sometimes just the gratification. The feeling that you get knowing that you've helped somebody, because it's a great feeling. And so, positioned him to really have a different trajectory for himself, and it was kind of cool. And that's where it all started. And that's where the insurance side started all over again, because I'd left it for a little bit, and then now we started up all over again, and now we're just going all in. I mean, just crazy all in.
And we're gonna get to that here in a little bit. I know you're not gonna tell me a whole lot because I don't even know yet, and there's gonna be a big reveal, so I get it. But yeah, it's grown, and you have 3 locations now, but you also have agents all over the United States.
Yeah, 3
like
offices.
Hard offices.
Yeah, which brick and mortar is not necessary anymore. Yeah, it doesn't mean a whole lot. So yeah, but we have agents all over the country. I mean, every state we're licensed in, so we're all over the country, and then soon to be Canada. We have people waiting in Canada, so we're getting things structured and set up for that, and then we'll see where else we end up going. I mean, I know we'll continue to grow.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know where we'll end up. It's kind of the fun part, the unknown. How big will it go?
And yeah, and with what people are doing and what you're doing with your company and everything like that, I don't see it going down. I mean, there's a value in being personable and helping people. I talk to other financial advisors, a lot of them really, really good, but a lot of them, it's the same type of thing. They just talk about money, about how much they can make. And one thing I enjoy is actually just sitting down with my clients and kind of learning about them. You get to meet somebody new that you had no idea, and you might have a connection. I didn't know you played college sports. Didn't know that I played college sports too. Now we're both in financial advising and in financial services. So it's like there's connections there.
Oh, there's a ton.
And you don't even know it.
The similarities are insane, yeah.
Yeah. But like for me, that's the biggest thing, is being able to like connect with someone on that level. I mean, shoot, half the people out here are Midwest transfer, so that's easy. Yeah. I'm from Iowa and Illinois. Talk to me about your farm. Let's hear it.
But everything starts off with a connection, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Trust doesn't happen right away. So the connection is what starts the process, and you do the connection, and then the trust occurs, and then down the road there'll be some action, in that relationship. So it's really kind of a neat thing, but everything's a process.
Yeah. And
it's just staying the course.
Yeah. And I do want to talk about your success a little bit. You're not one to like brag and gloat about it, but another thing that I thought this was actually crazy to me, and I still tell Cassie this to the day, that you would come in and get your haircut. You would fly in to get a haircut because you have your own jet, a couple of them. And you would invite us to Tahoe. I was like, I'm the small town Midwest kid, so like that was not even a thing to me, like getting on a private jet and going to hang out with some people. And I hadn't met you at that point, so in my head I'm thinking like, that's weird. Why is he asking my girlfriend to go to Tahoe? And then you were like, no, bring your boyfriend too. And it literally just has never worked out to the point where we haven't gone yet. But that was something so cool too. Like to even just your hairdresser, you still send her a Christmas gift every year. We got that this year. Delicious, by the way. Thank you. And so like that type of stuff. And so, talk about the success a little bit. What is some of the purchases that you've been able to make by helping people? I know one of them was a car. You obviously love to fly. Like, what are the hobbies that you like?
Creating experiences for people. I mean,
yeah.
Very simple. I love being able to create an experience for people they wouldn't normally have.
Yeah.
And I've been blessed enough to be in a situation where I can do some of those things. And I love Tahoe. I mean,
You do.
When I was a kid, we used to camp, and that's where we used to go for our summer vacation. So
nice.
It just became a thing for me until we finally were able to buy a house. And we didn't have to camp anymore. It was kind of a little bit better.
You park the boat there, pull it up, and just hang out.
Yep. Yeah. Take the boats and have a good time. So and just to be able to bring people up there. But back to Cassie and coming in, I'm super loyal. I mean, when I develop a relationship with people, I mean, I'm incredibly loyal to that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like crazy. I mean, almost to my detriment. And think about a haircut. I mean, I'm coming down here to get a haircut and then leaving, but I'm super loyal.
Yeah.
And that's just what I do. I mean, when I befriend somebody, that's it. That's life.
Yeah, and I didn't want to make it seem weird, but yeah, it was so weird to me because like I've never been in that position before, and I think we had just started dating, and so I was like, who is this girl? Like she's getting invited on private jets and all this stuff. Like I live in a 1-bedroom apartment. Actually, it was 2 bedrooms. I had a roommate at that time. But yeah, and that's true is the loyalty, and I see that how you treat every single employee. It's not just me. It's every single person that walks in and out, every Zoom meeting that we have on Mondays, all the webinars, everything like that. Like you treat people the exact same. I mean, you took 3 calls walking in here. Like you really spend time with people and want to talk to them and make sure that those connections are good. And that's something that I've tried to adapt as well, because sometimes I'm terrible about responding to messages, but I don't want that person to think I don't like them or I don't want to hang out with them. Like some of them are my best friends. And so when I get a chance to call them, I'm like, listen, I'm so sorry. I'm a terrible friend. I'm going to make up for it. And it just happened the other day. I was supposed to call my buddy back and I was like, dude, I'm sorry. He goes, no, I love the fact that you're working your butt off right now. And that's the ultimate goal, is when your friends can really understand what you're going through. That's all I can ever want.
And they're true friends when they do, because they have to understand you got to put your head down. You're going to go into the bunker for a while. When you come back out, you're going to be a different person. And that's what it is. There's the give and take, the sacrifice. And that's what people don't really recognize. They see the effects, the results rather, but they don't understand what it takes to get there. And that road is, man, it's tumultuous. You talk about turbulence. Yeah. It's pretty radical turbulence. If you want to get into aeronautical terms, it gets crazy for a while. But we just want to have that safe, smooth landing, right? And that's where there's a lot of sacrifices that come involved, and that's the hard part about the younger generation today and the now society and the lack of commitment, the commitment phobia. People don't want to commit to anything. They generally don't want to be vulnerable to anything.
Yeah.
They want all this certainty and everything without, it's like, I always say, it's like they want the baby without the labor pains.
100%. Yeah.
And it just doesn't happen that way.
Yeah.
The road that you're on, the journey that's where the character and the lessons, that character equity is huge. I mean, that's one of the most, I think for me, if I were to break down, my world, the character equity is everything. I mean, you could take all my stuff, take everything, but I have enough of that character equity in my head to know that I can start over again and I could rebuild.
Exactly.
And that's the most important thing that you'll learn through that journey, and waking up every day and just keep fighting.
Keep going. Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane. and things I never would have. I still have trouble realizing when I wake up in the morning. It's like, my gosh, this is my house.
This is what I have.
Yeah, this is nuts. Yeah, I don't even like to think about it sometimes, because for me, it's like I never sit and take the time to think about those things, and I should. It's not that I'm not grateful or don't appreciate them, because that I really do, but I don't take the time to dwell in them.
Yeah. I think one of the first things you told me was you wake up every day broke and hungry
every day.
Yep. And that was another one for me. I mean, the fact that of how much I've grown in just these couple months, learning from people like you, the books we read, different things like that, it's changed the mentality, because I was in a very, very like poor me type mentality during the winter time, and it was not somewhere I wanted to be. And actually my girlfriend told me to get my head out of my ass. So that was a big part of that whole transition too. And sometimes you need that. And sometimes you need like other people to be loyal to you as well. You can be loyal all you want, but when they're loyal back, that's where the true relationships come in.
Absolutely. But just remember one thing. There's a huge difference between broke and poor.
Yeah.
So poor is a mindset. Broke is a situation. And so when I say I wake up broke and hungry every day, it's a mindset.
Yeah.
And that's where the hustle begins. You
right, when your feet hit the ground.
Yep. You gotta get it going, and the responsibilities behind that are great. And I look at you as you're sitting in front of me, and all the other people that we have in the organization, and that's my responsibility to make sure that they're able to feed their families too. So that's why I'm on the phone calling up, seeing just temperature checks. How you doing? What's going on? It's important. And I want everybody to be able to have the same experience and a good quality of life. Quality of life is super important today, and everybody wants a great quality of life, but they got to pay the dues. It's called paying dues.
Oh, paying the freaking dues. Yeah, it's actually funny. One of the books, it was a book you told me to read, but we're not reading it as a company. It's called Relentless by Tim Grover. Completely changed how I approach each day and how I wake up. If you guys haven't read the book, go read it. He's actually dropping a new one. I don't know if I told you this. He posted a video saying he was releasing his new book, explaining it and everything. And so I shared it to my story, and he actually shared it, commented back.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
He's a neat dude. A really neat guy.
Trained MJ, trained Kobe, trained Dwayne, trained so many other people. But the idea of like being a cleaner is what he calls it.
Yep. Mindset.
It's a mindset. And it's not making excuses and just figuring out a way and just doing it. That's at the end of the day, that's all you can do is just figure out a way to get through it, find a solution, and go. There's no point in trying to figure out other people's mentalities, and just know yours and go after it. So for me, it was never like, okay, I just started. It's like, all right, well, if I don't have anything to do, I'm going to be studying. And then once I do have an appointment, I'm going to make sure I'm on point for that appointment, and then go back to studying or going back to perfecting other different things. And I would just take it upon myself to just spend the time. Like I would go through and do like our little projections just so I knew how it ran, because that's what you have to do. You have to take it into your own hands. And that book was just like,
you can't rely on anybody else. You got to have that relentless fortitude inside, and it's got to burn every day.
And the best part was your boy Tom Brady won the Super Bowl, and if you need a cleaner, there's one right there.
Amen.
Freaking wild what he was able to do.
Dedication and discipline.
Yeah. Dedication. Commitment. And it is repeated. Just do it every single day.
Repetition.
Yep. I mean, you can have your little faults. Everybody does. At the end of the day, we're human, but recognize that and move on.
That's insane. But it's a great book.
Yeah.
One of the best ever. And that's my boat's name is Relentless.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, it is.
I didn't know. My buddy has Cleaner on as his license plate because of that book.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, the impact is wild. But I know you're not going to give me a lot of details just because, you know, I work for you and with the company and everything like that. But you're actually about to do some really, really cool stuff with the company. Yeah. You gave us a couple breadcrumbs. What can you tell us about that change?
So sometimes change is something that's necessary, and it sparks some things, but there's also other reasons for a change.
Yeah.
And our change this time is because of our growth, and our name CalChoice is kind of too centralized and local, and people think it's California. So obviously now, you know, we're going to have a name change. So there's your breadcrumb.
There's the breadcrumb.
But
you guys heard it.
You know, I hired some consultants, something I never thought I would do. I get approached all the time by people saying, oh, I could coach you. They're business coaches. I could take your business to another level. And then I look at them going, how are you going to relate to my world? Mm-hmm. And I get a better understanding of where their world is. And, but I had to, you know, get over that and realize, like Tiger Woods, I mean, he has coaches for everything. Can those coaches actually beat him on the golf course? No. They're good at what they do. So I finally found somebody that, for whatever reason, again, the connection. We just immediately had a connection, and this guy happens to be Tony Robbins' personal marketing and brander. Wow. So he's on a different level. So it was a little intimidating for me. It wasn't about, you know, is he at my level? It's like, am I at a level to where he'd want to work with me? And and now, I mean, I truly consider the guy a friend. I mean, we've been working together now for, 4 or 5 months, and it's like, I can't imagine him not being in my life. I love the dude, and we've never met. It's all been on Zoom.
Oh, wow.
And we have a relationship that's pretty awesome, and we can call and just chat and talk about life, and it's not just, you know, diehard straight business. And and so now I have consultants, and now I will not go a time in my life without a consultant or a coach. And and it's like, so dumb. I preach to you guys all the time. You need a mentor. You need a coach. And I didn't. So it's changed everything. So our whole brand is going to be so modern. I mean, so relevant in today's world. I want things to resonate with people in ways that, you know, they look at money differently. Yeah. And you know, when you think about the financial firms that are out there and you look at their commercials and everything, it's just, they're all the same. They're in the safe zone. So we're breaking out of the safe zone. You know, we're like, we're going to disrupt this because what we're doing is not what people look at in the financial world. No. It's because everything is so staunchy and the same and basic because it's safe, because everybody worried about money and safe. Well, wouldn't it be nice to have a jet set style life? People always look at it, and even the ones that are sitting here saying, you know, I don't care about that, I wouldn't want that, you know, well, shame on you, because you do want it. You're just giving up. And so the reality of it is, that's kind of what people want. So if we can brand it in a way to where it is, you know, it elevates it and creates a whole new standard in the industry, and we don't have to do this basic boring stuff. It's going to be insane. And so as we started going through this, we did a ton of research, investigations, and everything, and so we really, you know, did a deep dive into our industry and how other people do things. And the one thing I know is that we will crush it.
We're gonna crush it.
It's gonna be insane, you know.
Yeah, I'm so excited for this. I was telling Cassie the other day about the event, because it's end of April. It's gonna be right. Well, I don't know if it's locked down yet or not, but
it's at a hangar right here.
Yeah, and it's going to be something that people are flying in for. People from California, all over the country, that want to come in and be a part of this. I'm super excited for it. That's what you kind of want with the company, I think. And to start when I did, and then to hear you talk about what was going to happen and everything like that, it's like, okay, like, they're making changes. This is going to be good. This is the time. This is like buying a stock when it's like 5 cents. It's educating people, and it's getting in to be a part of that education process and helping other people, because like we started the podcast off with, a lot of people don't even realize where their money's going or how to properly use it. They just spend because that's what you're told to do. At 18, you get credit cards just sent to you in the mail. I still get them every single day.
It's conditioning.
And discounts, all the easier ways to buy, tap and go. It's spend every
It's crazy because, some commercials want you to have that abundance to spend it on. Then you have the other commercials. You can save $200 a year.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to be? Abundance or scarce? I mean, what do you want me to do? It's so confusing when you watch TV today. I mean, it's like, that's why I don't watch the stuff. It's poison. And you talk about social distancing. Social distance yourself from TV, news, media, and social media. That's what the social distancing needs to be stated for. It's crazy.
No, for 100%. I completely agree. Last thing before we go, anything you want to say, man? Thank you so much for coming on the show, kind of breaking everything down. I know the people that I've talked to love the way we explain it, and they can understand it. When you give too much info, I think people get flooded and they kind of get flustered. And the fact that it's very simple, very to the point, we're going to help you, I think is amazing. But anything that you want to say before we head out?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things is people are sometimes not too thrilled to even seek out an advisor or to meet with an advisor because they don't want to know what their current situation is.
Yeah.
And that just makes it worse.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for those of you that are out there that are wondering or thinking, gosh, should I talk to Nick? Should I let him look at my situation? I don't know if I want to know. I don't know if I want other people to know my situation.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, that's failing already. I mean, just put it on the table. Get some advice. I just shared with you. I went so many years without a coach, and now that I have somebody, it's taken me to a whole nother level. And just having somebody to work with and go through your situation, it's super important. So I would encourage anybody and everybody out there to call Nick, work with him, because the one thing that I know he'll do, because he'll do the right thing, because that's the way we instruct. The only way we do it is if you're not ready, he'll tell you you're not ready, but he'll give you the right directions and what you need to do to get ready. And that's important. It's just getting started. And that's really what everything is about, is you got to take that first step. And when you take that first step, it feels good, kind of scary. You're vulnerable. But then after you've been doing it a while, it's just like that first time you buy a new car. Yeah. That car payment's like, oh my gosh, it's so much. And then it just becomes like routine. And that's what people need to realize. You'll adjust to it. And then knowing that you're doing something that's going to benefit you later, it's a great thing.
Yeah. And that's something I've one of my good friends, client now, talking to me about their situation. And I was like, yeah, I don't think you're ready. But they didn't want to come in. They were fighting it. They're like, no, I'm not going to come see you. I know I'm not ready. I really don't even want to know where my money's going. I'm fine. I'll figure it out. I'm like, just come talk to me. Like, let's sit down. Let's have lunch. We don't even need to meet in the office. Let's just have lunch and let's just chat. And now on a plan, working through all their different stuff, it's like, wow, okay. Because after that first meeting, after that first time they talked to me, they understood. I wasn't trying to push something on them. I wasn't trying to sell a product. I wasn't trying to do anything like that. I was trying to get them financially free to where that they can enjoy life forever. And then not only them, their family. I look at it like this. I want my kids to not have to struggle the way that I struggled, where my parents worked 2 jobs in order for me to play for a specific baseball team. That was tough for me. My grandmother passed away with nothing. That was a hard one to eat. I never want my kids to go through it. My parents finally figured it out. It's like, it's time to change the page. One thing my dad always told me is he's always talking about legacy and what am I going to be remembered for and everything like that. And that kind of clicked with me. It's like, we did it one way for so long and it didn't work out. Let's change that and be that change. And so like, that was the number one thing on my goal list, was change the course of where my family's going. And by doing this and helping people out and helping people understand money, it's tools that I'm going to give my family, tools that I'm going to give all their relatives, everything like that, to help them out. And that's something that gets me up and sends me to work every single day.
Amen. That's all you need.
Crazy.
Little direction and passion.
Little direction and passion. All right, guys, that's it. Woo! Episode 26. I hope you guys loved it, guys. I'm back. It's back. The Side of Mayo show is back. It's been a long 3 months, longer than I really wanted it to go. So I apologize for that. But like I said, guys, if you ever are struggling or ever trying to figure out your life, I completely get it. Believe me, I've been there, done that on a lot of different things. So if you ever have any questions, ever struggling, please reach out to me. I will definitely take the time to help you in any way that I can, and help you find goals and set your life straight. Not a life coach. I probably should be, but I've been through some stuff to where I can help you out, and we'll make things better. So guys, enjoy your week. Leave some comments. Let me know if you guys like it. Let me know who you guys want to see on the show. We're sticking with Arizona-based businesses. Guys, it's going to be freaking great. I'm so excited. We're going to help people out, and it's just going to continue to grow from here. 2021, it's time to go. We'll see you guys later. Peace.